Let's say 2025 is the year where you want to level up your fragrance collection, whether you already have a pre-existing collection that you just want to improve upon and build on and get some more popular, hot, trendy items in there, or if you're starting from complete scratch. You know, you woke up one day and you realize you don't have any good quality colognes that you could wear, and so you want to start building that collection. This is going to give you a great starting point. And one thing I think that's important about this is, at this point, with all of the flankers, all of the new releases in general, you can generally skip the OGs. And what I mean by that is you'll still hear people say, get 1 million, right? And usually they're referring to 1 million, you know, the OG release that came out 20 years ago or more, right? I think at this point, you're probably safe to gravitate towards one of the flankers because most of them are going to be vast improvements. And it's not to say that any of these originals are bad and they don't work anymore. Of course they do. But when you want to get the most out of your dollar, and as much as these flankers can be annoying, a lot of them are simply just better. And so we're going to go through here today. I've only got 8 options. Let's try to keep it somewhat slim. No need to bombard you with 15 or 20 if you're wanting to start picking away at this. You know, sometimes less is more. And of course, we have a whole channel backlog full of videos going over tons of other stuff if you wanted to dive in a bit deeper. This first one, something a bit unique. It's Brioni Eau de Parfum Essentiel. So I really, really like this. And it's unique because of this tomato accord. And I know what you're thinking, you know, you don't want to smell like tomato. And you really don't. But it's kind of like a green leafy tomato smell, adding to the green aromatic nature of the scent, and that's very indicative of the bottle as well, kind of a green gradient there, as you can see. That coloration is a perfect descriptor of the scent. So you get some bergamot and some patchouli along with that kind of tomato leaf accord. So I view this one more as a spring, early summer scent, something along those lines. Even into late summer, I guess, if you wanted to when it's hot outside, but it truly is something different. It's a breath of fresh air. You know, if you're kind of working with what you have already and you've got a lot of scents that maybe are a bit boring to you, maybe they all smell somewhat similar, or maybe you just want something that will make you stand out compared to all the other guys wearing similar things out there, this is going to do that for you. And it's already worked its way down to a relatively decent price on discounters. A lot of these Brionis are expensive at retail, but then on discounters, they're discounted pretty heavily. And so I think you could probably expect to pay $60-ish for this one on discounters, maybe 70, which really isn't that bad, especially in today's day and age. And which, by the way, I will link all of these down below as well. If you want to do some shopping, always shop through discounters. Now, this next one, we're going niche, okay? There's going to be a couple niche in here. This is by far the most expensive one in this video. So just like ripping a Band-Aid off, we'll get it out of the way now. But I try to, you know, be accommodating to everybody. So if you have some money to spend, Parfums de Marly Carlisle is going to be a solid option because you could go about it a couple of different ways. You could spend a ton of money on one bottle of niche that sucks, or you could spend that same amount of money on one bottle of niche that is really good. And trust me, okay, speaking from experience, I have spent hundreds of dollars on one bottle that simply isn't worth it. You don't have performance. You don't have something that's any sort of unique. You don't have something that even is of that great of quality. So, you know, you kind of have to approach it with caution to some extent. And that's not always the case. Most of the time, you're going to be getting a premium product at that premium price, but it's not a guarantee. With Carlisle and with most Parfums de Marly's, I would say you're going to be getting a good product in return for that money. Carlisle is a little bit more expensive than Leighton, Sedley, Percival, Harrod, and all of those more popular ones. But to me, it's well worth it. It's a no-brainer. Another nice patchouli scent here with a ton of woods, a nice sweet vanilla, some tonka. It's kind of smoky, so some people will compare this to Mancera Red Tobacco, and you can see that a little bit. But it's nowhere near as oody and as earthy and strong as Red Tobacco. I find this one to be much more wearable, more smooth, a little bit more refined, and overall much easier to pull off. However, you're not sacrificing performance or anything like that. This is a beast mode scent. So while you are paying a substantial amount of money for this, you know, at least it has great performance, it has great quality, and compliment factor, you know, it's unique. It's not going to resonate with everybody, but I think the people that do like this will end up really liking it. And this is going to be more of a fall winter use situation here, so kind of starting to get out of season for a lot of us. But I don't see why you couldn't wear this one on a summer evening date night if you really wanted to. There's no reason you couldn't, especially if you're inside at dinner. Chances are there's going to be air conditioning running, right? And it's not going to be too hot. So definitely something, if you have some money to spend, that you should check out. Next up, we have Acqua di Gio Parfum. You guys know how I feel about this, and you know all about it anyway. This is, you might as well just look at it as Acqua di Gio Profumo. When you're describing this one, most everybody who has been around for a period of time has known about and has smelled and likely owns Acqua di Gio Profumo. And, if you were to run out of it, you can get the Parfum. And if you haven't smelled Profumo before because you're new and you're getting into this, think of it as a smoky, aquatic / marine scent. And so it's Acqua di Gio, but with a kind of a patchouli, incense, sweeter, more evening time approach, basically. And really on paper, it's pretty simple sounding, but when you actually smell this one, there's so much about this that is done right, and it makes it, in my opinion, infinitely better than the original Acqua di Gio. And that's a nostalgic scent for many, but with all of the flavors that you have to choose from, I think that one's just about obsolete, except for rare circumstances where if it's something you were wearing since you were a kid or whatever, then yeah, go for it. But if you're starting out, and you're not wanting to spend thousands of dollars to buy all of the Acqua di Gios, all at once, just start with some of the flankers like this. Now let's go for Mancera Intense Cedrat Boisé. So another niche, but I mean, as far as price point goes, you really can't even consider it niche because it's actually more affordable than some of the designer fragrances in this video that are coming up, which is just wild. And also keep in mind when you're looking at the price on this and everything, bottle size tells the whole story, because you could have something that's 50 ml for $100. And you think, oh, $100, that's not horrible. But then you look and you can see that something is 100 ml, 3.3 ounce for $100. And that kind of puts it into perspective. So this is 120, right? Typically a little bit above what you normally get, which is 100. And even that 100 is starting to become not so standard as all of the elixirs and stuff are being, 50 ml and 75 is kind of the default size. So really good price on this. Nice, sweet, fruity scent and woody, okay? Sweet, fruity, woody, basically it. And with that comes a ton of versatility as well. So that fruitiness lends it to be a nice kind of warmer weather, potentially sunny day type of scent. And then some of that woody sweetness helps it out in the cooler times of the year or evenings and things like that. So I just think you could get a ton of use out of this one. Being that it is the intense version, it's an straight, it's a beast mode scent as well for under $100. So like I was just talking about, things are getting more expensive, and Sauvage Elixir, it didn't just take one scent to start that, because things have been getting more expensive before Sauvage Elixir. But you could argue that this was kind of like the catalyst. Dior put this out, and you've got, what is it? It's a 60 ml for retail is 180 or something, discounter is 140 to 150 for 60 milliliters. Now they do have a 100 ml out, which is around 210, 220 on discounters. But still, take that into perspective. Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette, you could get $100, 100 ml roughly on discounters, maybe a bit more, but it's more than double the price with this here. So it's expensive. And then a lot of other brands are following suit with their elixirs, Y Elixir and Ralph's Club, and so many. Prices are going to vary on all of these, but you get the point. It's pricey stuff. Now you could get something very similar for 20 bucks, Lattafa Assad. It's a great option. And there's other clones of Sauvage Elixir as well. But essentially what this is a cinnamon, licorice, nutmeg, sandalwood, warm, spicy scent. If you wanted to describe it in one way, that's the best way I can put it, warm and spicy. And when you smell this one, you can't avoid that. So if you don't like this type of thing, or at least it doesn't sound good to you, then chances are you probably won't like it. If that doesn't sound good, like licorice, nutmeg, just all those warm spices, and then the kind of the creamy sandalwood, it might be something that you would turn away from or sample first, because again, it's a lot of money. You can walk into pretty much any department store and smell it, you know, in person. So something to consider. But personally, I love it. It's a favorite of mine. And I think a lot of you would like it too if you know what you're after. And again, expensive, there are other options, but I think having something that smells like that in your collection is very valuable. Another more premium option here is Bleu de Chanel Parfum Beauty. I mean, just the bottles alone are about as simple as it gets, right? You've got a square with a round magnetic cap, and then just, you know, it's not raised lettering or anything, it's just painted on. I mean, they are just so simple, but yet some of the classiest bottles that are out there. I mean, a Bleu de Chanel bottle is just, it's timeless, I mean, really. And I think that's what they're after. Think about it. When did the original Bleu de Chanel come out? You tell me, because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Years and years ago, right? They only have 3 after all these years. And I think that's a good way to go about it. Something this timeless. They don't need to puke out 15 of them like the YSL, L'Homme, and everything like that, and even the Sauvage lineup, Eau de Parfum and such. But, you know, it's one of those things where you spend the money now, which it's pricey stuff, and you can't get it on discounters. But a big bottle like this, it's going to last you a long time. And you can pretty much guarantee that for as long as this lasts you, it will be in style and it will work. You know, this is not going to just fall off to where it smells out of place. I mean, this type of smell will work for years and years and years. So it's an investment, but it's well worth it. And of the 3, this is my personal favorite. I rank them in kind of reverse in how they are released. So the Parfum's my favorite, the EDP is my second favorite, the Eau de Toilette would be my third choice. It's probably not necessary for everybody to own all of them. You know, I would say take your pick between the EDP and the Parfum. Okay, you're going to get the best performance out of those 2. The Parfum does tend to perform the best. And so, again, you're spending more, but you're getting more in return. Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, it's the Le Parfum. I really like it. It's not at all what you would expect, which I've said that before about all of the ocean scents, because they are not oceanic or aquatic or watery or anything. You know, nothing. No salt, no seaweed, nothing. Very strange. It's got lemon, saffron, amber extreme, and oak. I mean, it's just not really what you would expect. That's fine, though. You know, after putting that aside, it's actually a really nice kind of creamy, slightly balsamic, slightly fresh scent. Again, not marine, anything like that. Ultimately very modernized, though, and something that isn't going to be exciting in the terms of, oh, I've never smelled that before. You know, this is something where when you smell it, you feel like it's somewhat familiar. And that's the case with a lot of newer releases. And so it's something to be wary of, you know, when you're going through and buying, because you don't want a ton of redundancy. But I will say with this one, while it does have some of that familiarity, it's always a hard word to say, but you get what I'm saying, it also still does its own thing too. And that's what I like about it. More so than Ocean, Eau de Toilette, and the Eau de Parfum, I would say this Le Parfum, it does venture off a little bit more, and it's at least a little bit more unique. Okay, we're going to finish this video with what is, I mean, especially over this past winter, it's become just about my favorite of the entire lineup. And man, there's a few really good ones, but this is just, it's everything I look for. It's L'Homme Ideal Parfum by Guerlain. It's got a nice amaretto note, leather, patchouli, and of course almond, which is the signature note within this lineup. Don't get me wrong, the Extreme, still top tier. The Eau de Parfum, still top tier. But this Parfum, like I mentioned, it's the cherry on top. And I'm sure they're going to come out with more. You know, it just makes sense. And they don't come out with these as much as some of the other fragrance brands out there in terms of flankers, but it's just, this is really good stuff. And also, it was insanely popular. Maybe just because it's newer, but I mean, we do sell samples, and this one is one that we were just churning through. We couldn't keep it in stock. Still, people are wanting this stuff. And, you know, a little bit more expensive, a little bit harder to get right now at a discount compared to the others because it is newer, but it's well worth a pickup. And simply to me, it's because of that nice amaretto note in here. mixing with everything else. It just works. It makes sense. Talk about a truly classic and timeless scent. You know, I'm telling you, when it is on discounters, it's just over $100. Not bad at all. Truly premium quality here. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fantastic scents if you wanna level up your collection this year. Got a nice little variety. Some summer, some fall and winter. But a lot of these can be interchanged depending on just what it is that you're doing in that particular time of year. But kind of a little bit of everything for everybody across a relatively decent budget spread. You know, don't really have any cheapies in here, but I have done plenty of videos on those as well. I just think when you're making investments and buying for the long run, jumping up to the price point that a few of these are at, it just makes more sense in terms of getting a better product in return. Like I said, I'll link all these down below if you want to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.